I just watched a video with Dave Rubin interviewing Stefan Molyneux, who's a Canadian, by the way, and one of the things he talks a lot about is basically IQ and race. It's not something that I'm prepared to talk about. In fact, I've read very little on the subject of IQ and race. But it is a very interesting, and I mean, being a person of color, I mean, I'm kind of a little bit more interested in terms of why that happens, etc., etc. But like I said, it's not the main point of this video. What I kind of gleaned or garnered from that video, without getting too much into the race and IQ thing, is a comment that Stefan Molyneux made regarding within the context of a lack of conversation on controversial topics, force usually fills that void. And I think it happens. I think it happens more than you think. I mean, you just kind of look at countries where it's illegal to have certain conversations, like, especially theocratic states, and that void gets filled in by force, by basically, even capital punishment or the death penalty in some cases. So I think having conversations it's a very important thing. And I think that there are people who are prepared to have certain conversations and some that aren't. And I think it has to do with the magic E word. I think it has a lot to do with that. But it also has to education. But it also has a lot to do with basically the prevailing culture and climate within which we have these conversations. I know recently we were talking about things like the intellectual dark web and freedom of speech and things like that. And there's a lot of fuzzy area between progressivism or liberalism or leftist politics and right politics and conservatism. And I think we're seeing, as for as dark as it is, we're seeing a blending of different political viewpoints and what people consider important in having valid conversations and sticking to reality and things that make sense overall. So I think that comment was kind of spiked at me. Yeah, definitely there are conversations that we definitely don't have sometimes, and you can see where the force kind of fills the void. You think about groups like Antifa and even like Nazi protests and things like that. But yeah, so conversation. But it's not really the main point of this video, and maybe the main point is going to take up less time. But I wanted to talk about this sentiment that I've seen expressed a few times. South Park did an episode about it, and it's with regards to atheism or religion, actually. But some people say that with a lack of religion, we'll find something else to fight over, and I don't see where that would actually ring true. Like, I mean, I don't see an emergent property coming about because of a lack of religion that is kind of like this boogeyman, like this thing we're going to fight over as if it were religion. I mean, anything we could fight over right now. I mean, the world is filled with reasons to fight and kill and things like that, and people do fight and kill over a lot of different reasons. You could think about the Holocaust, but there's also the Yazidi genocide by the hand of ISIS. Like, I mean, so I don't see what the lack of religion is going to bring about in terms of something to fight over. I mean, like I said, we could fight over those, whatever that thing is you're talking about right now, but we don't. You look at Scandinavian countries, for instance, like Iceland and Denmark, and I mean, they're largely atheists, but they don't fight over some imaginary thing. Like, I don't see how that would make much sense. But yeah, I just can't imagine it. But I think we've kind of covered territory here that over the last 6,000 years, so yeah, anyway, so that's kind of the point of my video, kind of a weird way to wrap it up, but yeah, that's it, bye.